Welcome to this explainer. I am so excited to jump into today's topic with you. We're going to be looking at something truly fascinating, the deeply interconnected world of the garden ecosystem. It's like a giant puzzle, and we're going to explore how everything is linked together. We'll start from the microscopic dirt and liquid right below our feet, all the way up to the thriving green leaves above. If you want to optimize your plants and build a much more resilient garden, understanding this ecosystem is absolutely where you need to start.
Here is a super quick look at our bottom-up journey today. We'll cover 1. The secret garden ecosystem. 2. Science over gardening myths. 3. Why plants need friends. 4. Nature's ultimate power couples. And finally, 5. Planning your future garden. Let's get right to it.
Okay, let's kick things off with a question that totally challenges how we usually think about gardening. What if the absolute best pesticide isn't some chemical spray in a plastic bottle, but just another plant? Crazy, right? I mean, for decades, the instant reaction has been to rely on chemical interventions the second a pest shows up. But what if nature already has a built-in defense mechanism? Today, we're diving into the actual science of natural garden resilience to see exactly how plants can protect each other.
To really figure out how plants help each other out, we first have to shift our focus downward. Let's look at Section 1, the secret garden ecosystem.
So, there's a really crucial term we need to understand right off the bat: the rhizosphere. Robert Pavlis breaks this hidden world down brilliantly in his book, Soil Science for Gardeners. Basically, the rhizosphere is that microscopic, incredibly thin layer of liquid and soil right up against a plant's roots, and it is absolutely vital to plant health. Healthy soil equals thriving plants, so untangling this underground food web is step 1. Get this. When a plant absorbs certain substances from the soil in this specific zone, it actually changes the soil's biochemistry. And that change can directly favor and support the plants growing right next door.
And you know, this perfectly highlights why we're leaning so heavily on science today. As garden author Jeff Lowenfels points out, Robert Pavlis uses science to destroy so many gardening myths. It is just so easy to get caught up in old wives' tales about what makes dirt fertile or what really makes a plant grow. But by focusing on the actual, literal chemistry and biology of the rhizosphere, we replace all that guesswork with actionable, factual science.
All right, speaking of destroying myths, let's bring our scientific lens back up above ground for Section 2, Science over gardening myths.
Until pretty recently, deciding which crops to plant next to each other was largely based on, well, hearsay. It was this old-school method of guessing which plants kind of liked each other, mostly based on folklore. But thankfully, we're finally moving away from that. Now we're drawing on a rigorous, deeply researched body of science, meticulously collected by sources like the Old Farmer's Almanac. And this evidence-based research proves that growing specific combinations of plants actually reduces pests, boosts growth, and helps the surrounding wildlife.
Here's the real game changer. You can forget that old idea that there are an equal number of plant friends and foes. That is a huge misconception. The science actually shows us that nearly all associations between plants are positive ones. Aside from maybe 2 or 3 truly bad neighbors, like the black walnut tree, which literally secretes growth inhibitors straight out of its roots, almost all other plant combos bring some level of benefit. The overwhelming evidence is telling us we just need to focus on how plants actively help each other thrive.
So exactly how are they helping each other out? Let's get into Section 3, Why Plants Need Friends.
Whether you're a micro farmer or just messing around in your backyard, companion planting is an absolute goldmine. It's not just about saving space, it's about building a highly interconnected community. There are 7 proven benefits here. Some plants deter pests with strong scents, while others actively attract beneficial pollinating insects. Taller plants can provide much-needed shade for delicate crops below, or act as natural structural supports for climbing vines. We already talked about how they improve overall plant health by tweaking soil biochemistry. And finally, legumes can boost soil fertility by making nitrogen more available, while sprawling crops act like a living mulch to beautifully suppress weeds. The whole shebang.
Let's look at a legendary historical example of this in action. You might know this one, the Three Sisters Trio. That's maize, climbing beans, and winter squash. This age-old pairing perfectly demonstrates multiple benefits all happening at once. The tall corn acts as a natural trellis for the pole beans to climb. In return, the beans fix nitrogen in the soil, which feeds the super-hungry corn. Meanwhile, the winter squash sprawls out across the ground, shading the soil to retain moisture and brilliantly suppressing any weeds that try to pop up. It's basically a perfect, self-sustaining microcommunity.
Now that we've got the mechanics down, let's look at some specific, highly effective combinations. Section 4, Nature's Ultimate Power Couples.
Take a look at the contrast between cabbage and nasturtium flowers. Nasturtium is head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to being a natural protector. If you plant it near brassicas, like cabbage, broccoli, or kale, it acts as a decoy. These pretty little flowers will literally lure hungry caterpillars and beetles right away from your main crop. They take the absolute brunt of the pest attack, so your cabbage can just grow completely undisturbed. And this is a great reminder that flowers in a vegetable garden aren't just there to look pretty. Take dill, for example. Planting dill is a highly strategic, offensive move against pests. It specifically attracts beneficial ladybugs. And ladybugs, they are ferocious natural predators to destructive garden pests like aphids and spider mites. So, by planting dill, you're essentially hiring a microscopic security team for your garden bed. Speaking of security, let me introduce you to the garden's pungent bodyguard, garlic. Pests absolutely despise garlic. Aphids can't stand it. It repels onion flies, ermine moths, and Japanese beetles. Its incredibly strong scent basically masks the appealing smell of your other vegetables, creating this invisible, aromatic barrier that pests simply do not want to cross.
So how do we build this into a practical strategy? Well, if you're planting potatoes, which are notoriously vulnerable to certain pests, try planting rows of garlic directly between the potato rows. By interplanting this pungent bodyguard, you keep those valuable underground tubers infinitely safer and significantly less vulnerable to an attack. It is such an easy, effective, and organic defense. Okay, how do we apply all of this data to our own backyards? Let's wrap things up with Section 5. Planning your future garden.
When it comes to actually laying out your garden beds, you really want to reference data-backed information, like this mini digest for tomatoes. Look at the classic pairing of tomatoes and basil. They don't just go perfectly together on a pizza, they are literally best friends in the soil. Basil actively repels whiteflies, spider mites, and even disorients the moths that lay those devastating tomato hornworms. Plus, basil attracts bees, which improves pollination. And amazingly, their shared biochemistry actually improves the tomato's overall flavor. Borage and garlic offer similar incredible benefits to the tomato plant, too.
Now, trying to memorize all of these combinations can honestly feel a bit overwhelming, but thankfully, you don't have to. As highlighted in our sources, tools like the Almanac's online garden planner can save you a massive amount of time. Their evidence-based companion planting tool lets you select a crop, say sweet corn, and it automatically filters their database to show only the scientifically backed companions, like pole beans, that will actually help it thrive. It is an amazing way to lay out your beds with total confidence.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. It's time for you to take all this great science and put it into practice in your own dirt. So I'll leave you with this. Have you tried companion planting yet? What is your absolute go-to pairing in the garden? Get out there, experiment with this amazing bottom-up ecosystem, and watch your plants thrive together. Thanks so much for joining me.